Great, thank you. Chairman Collins, Chairman Hoven, Vice Chair Murray, Ranking Member Shaheen, and distinguished members of this subcommittee. I am so grateful for the opportunity to appear before you to share what we've accomplished at USDA in the last 100 days, but also to answer your questions on the President's budget request and the priorities moving forward. When farmers prosper, rural America prospers. And I want to thank you all for your shared bipartisan commitment to that effort in ensuring that our farmers and our ranchers and our rural communities thrive. During my confirmation hearing, which some of you attended, not all, I quoted Thomas Jefferson's 1787 letter to George Washington, in which he wrote, "Agriculture is our wisest pursuit because it will, in the end, contribute most to real wealth, to good morals, and to happiness." I have had the distinct privilege of serving American farmers and ranchers for the past 82 days, and I can tell you our farmers continue to embody every single day the ideals that Thomas Jefferson described over 2 centuries ago, and serving as their champion continues to be my greatest honor. We at the Department of Agriculture have wasted no time in implementing President Trump's bold policy agenda. The President's fiscal year 2026 discretionary budget that we're talking about today identifies the priorities of our administration with the same degree of prudence and frugality our family farmers practice when they draft their annual budgets. Let me touch on a few highlights of the last 82 days and then turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman. Upon taking office, I was tasked by President Trump to lower the cost of eggs in the short term, and also to provide farmers with resources that are needed to combat the avian influenza in the long term. In February, at the direction of President Trump, we announced a 5-point plan to meet this challenge head on. And I am proud to report that since that plan was introduced, the wholesale price of eggs has decreased 56%, with the retail price following. In taking this position, I fully understood that American agriculture was facing one of the most economically challenging times in our country's history. For generations, American producers and consumers enjoyed the fruits of an agricultural trade surplus. But under the last 4 years, that surplus went from zero, or that trade deficit went from zero to a nearly $50 billion trade deficit. And the newest numbers coming in are actually significantly more than that. President Trump and I know this problem will not solve itself. That's why he is taking action, bold action, which I'm sure we're going to talk about today, to address our imbalanced trade commitments. And I am working tirelessly to promote American agricultural products on the world stage. In April, USDA launched our agricultural trade promotion programs for fiscal year 2026 and is currently accepting applications for 4 export market development programs. As part of this effort, I will be traveling to 7 countries in the next few months. The first trip begins Sunday when I head to the UK, where I will be making sure our trading partners know that American agriculture is the crown jewel of American production. And in fact, I was talking to Chairman Hoven, I have to leave here at noon because the Secretary of Agriculture from Mexico has just landed here in Washington, and I'm going to meet and talk with him momentarily, as soon as we finish. We are also streamlining unnecessary regulations and cutting red tape for agricultural producers and industries so that they can continue to do what they do best, and that is to everyday feed, fuel, and clothe America and our world. To that end, my team and I have sought to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse in all USDA programs, including the SNAP improper payments, fraud, and programs that fail to fulfill the USDA mission of putting farmers first. Our team is meeting daily with our partners at the Department of Government Efficiency with DOGE, which again I'm sure we'll get into, to ensure that we are doing right by the American taxpayer while also protecting critical USDA programs. What is also of paramount importance at the United States Department of Agriculture is our mission to make America healthy again. We've been taking major steps to fulfill this mandate by accepting SNAP waivers and working alongside our country's great governors, both Republican and Democrat, as we move that project forward. The MAHA movement at USDA has also supported major voluntary changes to make food healthier, including just last week, the International Dairy Foods Association's most recent announcement related to dyes in school lunch dairy products. We are also working around the clock to address major threats to our farmers and our ranchers, including the New World screwworm, which would devastate our cattle industry in this country. Alongside Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau, we were pleased to share just last week that we have negotiated a deal with the government of Mexico to allow the best preventative tools we have to land our response aircraft in Mexico without further hindrance. Additionally, working to ensure that Mexico abides by the 1944 Water Treaty, providing the water it owes to our ag producers in America. Finally, and again, just a quick summary of the last 82 days, just last week, alongside Senator Rounds and some other great Americans, we stood with Charles and Heather Maud, a South Dakota cattle family, fifth-generation cattle ranching family who operate small cattle and hogs, who endured a senseless, politically motivated prosecution over 25 acres of forest land that had had a fence line on it for almost 100 years. The criminal charges against the family were dropped last week, and to prevent further injustices against our farmers and our ranchers, we launched a portal for farmers and ranchers to tell us their stories if they too are being treated in a similar situation as to the Mods. And since we launched that a week ago Thursday, so I guess just 4 or 5 days ago now, we've had over 100 farmers and ranchers reply and move their stories into our portal. So we're already following up on that. Again, during my first 82 days as the Secretary of Agriculture, we have visited 15 states. We have not visited yours yet. We're coming very, very soon. I have attended over 100 events, given dozens and dozens of keynote speeches, and met with nearly 1,000 farmers and ranchers across this great country, both here in Washington and out in the states. We will continue to build based on their feedback, based on their hard work, and based on reconstituting, rebuilding, and revivifying the United States Department of Agriculture to better serve our customers. American ag does not rest, and I can assure you that under my tenure, neither will the U.S. Department of Ag. I'm proud to be at the helm of the People's Department, as President Lincoln so aptly launched and said in the 1860s. I'm proud to be at the department. I'm proud to be at the table with President Trump, and I'm so proud to be fighting for the most American of all Americans, and that is our farmers and our ranchers and our agriculture communities. Thank you so much.